let's take a look at our top selections.
Race 10 on Saturday at Del Mar is the Grade 2 San Clemente Stakes. 3-year-old fillies at 1 mile on grass, and it's pretty obvious to most who the favorite will be. Her name is Going Global. I expect her to be a very short price. One of the biggest surprises of the winter meet at Santa Anita was Going Global. She won 4 straight stakes races during the winter meet. We'll talk a little bit more about Going Global in a minute, but first let's take a look at a surprisingly large field of 12 entered in the San Clemente. It's race number 10. Number 2, Going Global, trained by Phil D'Amato. Flavian Pratt is aboard, and she's going to be very tough to beat. But even if the favorite does win, and I think most bettors expect her to do just that, we might be able to squeeze some value out of this race because there's a under-the-radar type filly who might be better than shown. Second choice in the field is likely to be multiple stakes winner Madone. Madone misfired last time out. She was wheeling back on very short rest, 3 weeks after a dynamite comeback. So those are the two main ones are number 2, Going Global, and number 9, Madone. And I'll talk about the long shot in just a minute. Let's take a look at the outside posts. Karakatsi, Nimbo Stratus, and Closing Remarks. Closing Remarks is also entered Friday in the Fleet Treat Stakes at Del Mar. And as of Thursday morning, trainer Carla Gaines and owner John Harris were undecided which race to go in. Closing Remarks drew poorly in the Fleet Treat, a dirt sprint, post 2, which would be her first start on dirt. She drew poorly in the San Clemente, post 12 at 1 mile. So not an easy decision for Closing Remarks. I suspect that she will run Friday, but we'll see. Stay tuned with regards to Closing Remarks, who ran second a couple times behind Going Global. Okay, let's talk about the favorite, Going Global, trained by Phil D'Amato. When she arrived from Ireland late last year, she was an unheralded filly who had won 1 out of 4. Her only win was on a synthetic racetrack in Europe. But once she arrived in California and D'Amato started training her, Going Global went from strength to strength to strength to strength. And you'll see what I mean when we show a replay of the stretch run of her 4 U.S. starts. And let's start off with February 14th, the Sweet Life Stakes. It was a 6-furlong turf sprint at Santa Anita, and 8-1 might have been the overlay of the season for Going Global, who had trained super for her U.S. debut. D'Amato wanted to run in an allowance race, couldn't find one, stuck her in the Sweet Life, and she popped at 8-1. Now, could she go long? Well, next time out was in the China Doll at 1 mile, and Going Global did it again, a little bit more impressively, I thought, in the China Doll than in the Sweet Life. Going Global on the outside. She's going to hit the front and inch clear by about 3/4 of a length. That was 1 mile. So could she go 1 mile and 1/8? Let's take a look at the Providencia and her 3rd U.S. start. And Going Global once again. This race is really never in doubt. She had a relatively forwardly placed trip. She made the lead by a length, and she won by only a neck to Closing Remarks. That's Closing Remarks down on the inside, who tried valiantly in defeat. But Going Global was decisive in victory, but not as decisive as she was in the honeymoon. And this is her most recent start 2 months ago. And watch Going Global simply explode through the stretch. She won by 4 3/4 lengths. She earned a 92 Beyer speed figure. It's a 1-horse race. Dynamite win by a very good filly. That's Going Global. Now 4 for 4 in the U.S., freshened since that race 2 months ago, training well. Phil D'Amato said he can't even keep her on the ground right now. She is doing so well. She'll be running in the San Clemente on Saturday. I expect her to win. I don't think that's any great secret. And if she does win the San Clemente, as most people expect her to do, she will be her next start will be August 21st in the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. Here's an interesting tidbit, and maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, but in the last 20 years, the San Clemente is the prep race for the Del Mar Oaks, right? Yes, it is. In the last 20 years, only one San Clemente winner, that was Evening Jewel in 2010, came back to win the Del Mar Oaks. So Going Global faces a formidable task, winning the San Clemente and the Del Mar Oaks. based on what we saw last time out in the honeymoon, I don't see any reason at all why she won't be able to do just that. Okay, let's talk about the long shot. Her name is Tetragonal, and Tetragonal was imported from Europe, just like Going Global was. And Tetragonal is trained by Richie Balta. She had a horrible trip in her U.S. debut. She finished second. And then next time out, she ran in the Surfer Girl Stakes at Santa Anita, and she lost by only a neck behind Madone. Madone is a three-time stakes winner, 4 for 6 overall, and one of the favorites in the San Clemente on Saturday. Tetragonal shipped back to Keeneland. She was going to run in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, but she came down with a bone chip. They had to stop on her, took the chip out. It wasn't a big deal, and brought her back in the Senorita Stakes, and it was just too tough for her comeback race. Tetragonal finished nowhere, but it was a race that she needed. Baltas dropped her in to a one-other-than allowance race in her most recent start, and when you get a chance, fire up Formulator and take a look at Tetragonal's most recent win. It was a one-other-than allowance for 3-year-old grass fillies, and she won by less than a length, but she galloped out like a freight train. And Baltas said last weekend that Tetragonal is tearing down the barn at Del Mar. She is a good filly. She's underexposed. I don't think any of us really know for sure how good she is, but she is better than her record suggests. Is she in Going Global's league? Not yet. But Tetragonal should start at a much higher price. And even if Going Global were to win the San Clemente, if Tetragonal can finish 2-3, maybe we can squeeze some value out of the exacta and or the trifecta. It's all about Going Global in the San Clemente Stakes, race 10 on Saturday, but watch out for the long shot, Tetragonal, to outrun her price. That's race 10, Saturday at Del Mar.